These are my 4 most commonly asked questions for anybody that's learning to sew, and the most popular one is, how do I sew in a straight line? So I've got a couple of tips for you. First off, on the bottom of your sewing machine, on the throat plate, there is a gauge, and this is in millimetres, 10, 20 or 30. So the easiest way to sew in a straight line is to take your fabric, line it up to whichever one of those markings you need to sew against, and sew. Sew slowly, and don't look at the needle, look at the gauge and where the fabric is at the side. And then just very gently feed your fabric through. Here's a little tip: never ever pull or push your fabric, even when you're doing decorative stitches and it looks as though it's jumping backwards or forwards, because you can bend your needle. The machine will feed the fabric through at the rate that it needs to. But maybe you're stitching in the centre of your fabric, in which case you're not going to see that gauge at the side because your fabric's going to be covered up. So I want to sew right down the middle there. How am I going to do that? Get some low tack tape, and you're going to put that straight across the bed of your sewing machine. Use masking tape if you like. Don't draw on your machine though. So now I'm looking here as I'm sewing. Again, don't look at the needle, you'll go wobbling all over the place. So just make sure that the edge of your fabric is lined up against your tape, and that will show you a straight stitched line every single time. Another question that I'm asked quite a lot is about the thread that I use. Why use a high quality thread? What is a high quality thread? What is a high quality thread is a long strand thread. You can tell a poorer quality thread if you look at it and you see little knobbles on it. If it's not completely smooth and silky, then that's probably a cheaper thread. And the reason why I prefer a better quality thread, there are 2 reasons for it, is going to be stronger. If you pull your thread and it snaps, the likelihood is it's going to snap inside your machine, or worse, it's going to snap on your garment. So use nice, strong thread, which won't be the cheapest thread that you can find. Your garment's going to last longer, your seam's going to be stronger, and the second reason why I insist on using a high quality thread is because the cheap ones can be very fibrous and lint can build up inside your sewing machine. It's not going to damage your sewing machine, it just means that you've got to do a cleaning job more often than you maybe would have liked. So that's why you need high quality thread. Another question that I'm asked is about needles. It's really important to use the right needle for the job. Universal needles for most of your work, and you're getting them included with your machine, are absolutely fine, but change them regularly. It's guaranteed that you change your needle after every large project. So if you're making a quilt, or if you're making a dress, or you're making a pair of curtains, change your needle for a fresh one. Or after every 8 hours of sewing. I know you're not going to time yourself sewing, but that's a general guideline. You know when your needle's going blunt because you'll hear it, and you'll see larger holes in your fabric, which isn't very attractive. So just make sure you change them regularly. There are different types of needles available. So I mentioned the universal needle. If you're not sure, use universal. But if you're sewing with stretch fabric, then you need a jersey needle or a stretch fabric needle, and that's got a slightly rounded tip, so it's not going to cut through the threads and ladder them. It'll split the threads as it goes through, and it does make a difference to the way that your stitches look when you use the right needle. The other one that's worth investing in is denim needle, which is a strong needle. It's not thicker, it's actually stronger, and that is perfect for sewing through not just denim, but lots and lots of layers of fabric as well. Okay, the 4th most popular question that I'm asked is, how do I slow down? If you're a beginner sewer, just like if you're a beginner driver, it's very tempting to put your foot down on the foot pedal and it goes a little bit too quickly. And no matter how much you try, maybe your coordination just isn't very good, the machine just seems to get carried away with you. So what you're going to do here is to use your foot pedal, but use it in conjunction with the speed control that's on the front of your machine. So if I turn this right down to the tortoise and then start to sew, my foot is actually right down to the floor, just like it was a second ago where the machine raced away. But it's sewing about a stitch a second, so I'm so much more in control. When I get used to it, I can speed that up a little bit if I wish. And of course with this machine, you don't need to use the foot pedal, so you can control the speed entirely just from that one button at the top. So if you are a new sewer, I hope those tips have helped you.